Hey y'all, welcome back to Timber and Smoke. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Just more basically talking head. Even though all of these videos are technically some type of talking head video. But there is obviously more news in regards to Sutliff, STG, and that whole situation. And people are talking about it, and I'd like to give my little take on it as well. I think it's interesting. I think it's something worthwhile for us all to be considering and thinking about as we close out 2024 and move into 2025. So, if you haven't checked it out, Stuff and Things did about a half-hour video on this whole topic. Very technical, very detail-oriented. I highly suggest that you give that a listen. This won't be quite like that. I'll be touching on a couple of those, detail aspects of what we know now in regards to blends going away, that type of thing. So we'll make our way through this. And before I continue, I also want to say thank you for everybody who is watching these videos, who's commenting, giving a thumbs up. All that stuff really does mean a lot. So just a small housekeeping thing there, and I'd like to touch a little bit more on that, but I'll save that for later on in this video. So, to get started, I'm going to be looking at Tobacco Chronicles. So I will link this article in the description of this video. But a gentleman started this blog relatively recently called Tobacco Chronicles, and you can get it on tobaccochronicles.com. And he posted a pretty good blog. I do like video and audio format. However, it is kind of helpful to have something on paper in front of you. And so this is a pretty good list of what's coming. So I'm going to run through a couple of these bullet points here as far as the key takeaways regarding the whole Scandinavian Tobacco Group situation. If you are new to this, the first time you're seeing this, I doubt it. I doubt that my video is the first one that you're seeing in this whole context of what's going on in the pipe tobacco world. But if you are new and just learning about this whole ordeal, I highly suggest, I did a quick video like a month ago when it first came out. Others have done other things on it. But in short, Sutliff a few months back was purchased by Scandinavian Tobacco Group, STG. I'll be referring to them as STG throughout this video. And at the beginning of November, STG announced that they were going to begin consolidating the brands. So now we're getting more details as to exactly what that means. So some of the key takeaways, according to this Tobacco Chronicles article, from what he's gathering. Sutliff is going to be closing come Q1 2025. Okay, that is now a fact that is out there that we should accept. So what does that mean in particular? And there are other people who have reached out to Sutliff, and when we think about this whole situation, it's not just Sutliff. Okay, it's Mac Baren USA technically, and Mac Baren USA owns Sutliff. They own Tobacco Pipes, they own Cup of Joe's, and they even own TobaccoReviews.com. I think those are really kind of the four main pieces that we're focusing in on. And specifically, why is that? All four of those, to my knowledge, now if I'm wrong, please someone correct me down below, but all four of these operations, Sutliff, Tobacco Pipes, Cup of Joe's, and TobaccoReviews.com, are all operated out of Virginia. Okay, so there is a facility in Virginia, in Richmond, where Sutliff produces and processes tobacco. So they get in, I'm assuming whole leaf, they process tobacco, then they make their blends, they tin tobacco, and then they distribute it, right? Tobacco Pipes is also out of that facility. So Tobacco Pipes, all their fulfillment and distribution, I believe, is out of Richmond. Same thing with Cup of Joe's, same deal as Tobacco Pipes. And Tobacco Reviews, I'm assuming it's probably not that big of an operation, right? They're just essentially hosting a web server. But what is there, I'm pretty sure, is, again, out of that Richmond facility. So the reason that we're focusing, or at least I'm focusing on those four businesses, I'll say, is due to the fact that they're all based on the same location. Okay, and that plant, that whole facility, is being shut down Q1 2025. In layman's terms, March 31st, 2025 is when it's going away. So what does this mean as far as Tobacco Pipes Cup of Joe's? STG has come out to say that all of that traffic is going to be put to cigarsandpipes.com. So Scandinavian Tobacco Group also owns Cigars and Pipes, or Pipes and Cigars. I can't remember what the name of it is. But they also own pipesandcigars.com. And so they are, when you type in, come April 1st, 2025, when you go to tobacco, and maybe even sooner than that, but that's the deadline for sure. When you type in tobaccopipes.com, you're going to be redirected to Pipes and Cigars. Okay, the URL will exist, right? They're not going to get rid of that URL, but it is going to redirect you. You're going to be brought to pipesandcigars.com. Same thing with Cup of Joe's. So if you use those, if you have those bookmarked, or you frequent those sites, just know that if you go to that in the future, in the next coming months, you're going to go to Pipes and Cigars, right? Something also to think about, that if you are on some sort of emailing list, okay, if you are on some sort of tobaccopipes.com emailing list, Pipes and Cigars, one, already has your information, right, because they're owned by the same company, so I would imagine that they have your information, and that come that transition phase, they will probably be moving all the people who are subscribed to Cup of Joe's, Tobacco Pipes, they're probably going to be moving them to Pipes and Cigars. That's total speculation, but I've got experience of my own in the software development, web development world, and so I just wouldn't be surprised that would be the case. Okay, so again, just things to consider as this is unfolding. Okay, so I don't want to I've already taken more time than I was probably planning as far as some of this detail stuff, but the smaller blends like Seattle Pipe Club, right? Seattle Pipe Club is processed and blended and produced all at the factory in Virginia. Okay, Seattle Pipe Club, they're not buying components and blending them themselves, but the tins itself is made at this factory in Virginia. STG is not going to be producing those blends. All those boutique blends, they aren't. Why is that? Again, just because there's a lot of good information out there at this point in time. Brian Levine from Pipes Mag radio show, he did a little segment on a recent episode talking about this. So this is where I'm getting this information from. But the STG facility overseas in Denmark, they only produce 4,000 pounds of tobacco at a time. Okay, one, that's a lot of tobacco. But what that means is that if they can't sell that type of volume for a blend, they're not going to be producing it. Okay, so things like Seattle Pipe Club is probably the best one, the most well known. I'm not sure of what other ones will be, but they are gonna it's either gonna go away, or they're gonna have to find someone else like Cornell and Deal to produce their blends, because STG probably won't be doing that. Other thing to note, we don't know what's going to happen as far as components. Okay, so again, as we all know, places like the Country Squire, like Watch City Cigar, like Ken Byron Ventures, you name it, these smaller blenders, they are buying their components. For the most part, there are probably some outliers, but for the most part, they're buying their blending components from Sutliff. Okay, so I'm not sure if STG is going to be selling those components still or not in the future. I don't know. I haven't really seen any information on that, but if they aren't, they're going to have to source those components from somewhere else. Okay, which again is probably going to be Cornell and Deal. The reason being is because Cornell and Deal, I think, is the only American company at this point who is processing pipe tobacco. Okay. A couple other things. Let's see. This is an interesting point here on this, a very interesting bullet point. STG's strategy focuses on high volume sellers that aiming for 80% of SKUs to deliver 99% of their margin. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. A SKU, if you're not in the manufacturing world, a SKU is not just one blend, okay, but it is each available option. So say you go to tobacco pipes, you pull up a bulk blend, you can buy it in 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 8 ounce, 16 ounce, or a pound. Each of those is one SKU, okay, just for awareness. So what STG is looking to do is that they are saying that 80% of the products we make, we want them to deliver 99% of our margin. So what that means is that 20% of the products, okay, are only delivering 1% of the margin. So what does that mean from an accounting standpoint, right? If I'm a business and I say 20% of my products are only giving me 1% of my margin, those things are probably going to get axed in the future, okay? So even though it says that they are going to have 80% of their SKUs delivering 99% of their margin, that's not good for that other remaining 20%, okay? Something else to consider, STG is not just dealing with pipe tobacco, okay? As a lot of us are aware of, cigars are very popular right now, okay? I think it would go without saying that cigars are more popular than pipes and pipe tobacco. And I would imagine as a result, there's a lot more volume done in cigars. And I'm just guessing here, this is a total guess, but that there's more margin on cigars, okay? So when we see this 80% of SKUs, don't think that means 80% of pipe tobacco SKUs, okay? This is not exclusive to pipe tobacco. This is meaning that 80% of STG's whole portfolio is contributing, that they're targeting that to contribute 99% of their margin. Okay, so just things for us to think about. Okay, there's a lot of variables and a lot of factors in everything going on here. To me, those are kind of the main deals. Okay, Sutliff is closing March 31st, 2025. And when I say Sutliff, I'm meaning the facility, the operations that's in Virginia, okay? That the portfolio is being consolidated. That Sutliff is going to, STG is going to reduce the number of products, the number of offerings, okay? Again, in the portfolio consolidation here. Here's a more detail of the plan. They have a total number of brands. They have 111 total brands right now. By 2028, they're going to reduce that to 53. Okay. Right now, they have 3,200 SKUs. Okay, again, so that one SKU isn't one blend necessarily or one cigar, right? It's the different offerings, but they want to reduce that number of SKUs to 1,250. So basically, they're going to get rid of 2,000 different offerings. Okay, that is a large amount of offerings. Reduction in market presence from 76 to an undetermined smaller number. Now, I don't really know what that means, what market presence. There's not a percentage listed next to that. Maybe it's just missing from this article. I'm not totally sure. So I don't really know what that means. But right now, okay, so the company's goal is to have 80% SKU deliver 99% of their margin, like I already mentioned. It says compared to the current 52%. Okay, so let's think about this. Right now, 80% of SKUs is delivering 52% of margin. So how do you help increase 80% of your SKUs to deliver more margin? You decrease the number of SKUs that you have, right? And again, they're taking it from 3,200 to 1,250. So they're reducing a large number of their total product offerings. That way they can help increase, right, and say that we have 80% of our products delivering, 99% of our margin. It's a big deal, folks, because that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot of blends. It's a lot of brands, and it's just crazy. I mean, it's really an insane number of products that they are trying to consolidate to. So things for us to think about. Okay, we've already discussed some in this whole ordeal that's happening right now with STG. there's basically two sides of the coin. You've got some folks saying buy up as much as you can, right? And this isn't just now with this new information, but it's been happening for this last month. You got some folks who are saying buy all the stuff that you can because it's going to go away, basically encouraging a panic buy. And there are others who are saying, hey, slow down, enjoy tobacco. This happens. Tobacco has been around for a long time. Fill your pipe and enjoy it. And there's kind of a division between pipe smokers on this issue, and I don't think it's really that helpful. I think regardless of where you fall on this discussion, this topic, you should think, we should consider what the other folks are saying, okay? So if you're someone who's saying, don't panic buy, just enjoy your pipe, consider what the other person is saying and ask, do they have a reasonable argument to be made? And I think the answer is yes, okay? But on the same token, those who are saying, yo, buy everything you can right now because it's going away in a couple months, I think it's also worth listening to those who are saying, take a step back, take a breath, just enjoy your pipe. I think both of those have something really valuable to offer to this discussion. Because ultimately, who is the winners and losers of this, of what's happening? If you are like me, who is someone sitting in their, in their office, who likes to smoke their pipes or cigars on their back deck or whatever it is, if you're like me, which probably everybody who's watching this is, you're the losers, okay? I'm one of the losers. Everybody who's your average Joe who just enjoys good tobacco, we are the losers in this situation. Why is that? There is going to be less offerings, okay? There is going to be less brands, okay? How do I know that that's true? Sutliff, right, STG says they're going from 111 to 52 or 53 brands, right? They are taking 50 some odd brands off the market in the next 3 years, okay? Less offerings, folks, in anything, I believe is not great for the consumer, okay? It just, we're going to be limited as to what we can choose. Now, just to think, right, a good counter argument is there is a load of tobacco out there, okay? I'm not trying to encourage any panic buying or anything like that. I'm just going to say that right now because I don't want to be accused of that. Because there's plenty of good tobaccos out there. Okay, we live in a time where we can be very fortunate and say there's a plethora of tobacco that we can choose from, and that's a good thing. But there is something, now this is a personal opinion, there's something about this closing of Sutliff that just kind of tugs at my heartstrings, right? That, one, I'm an American, and so to see something like this, especially considering that Sutliff, they've just celebrated their 175th anniversary, the fact that this factory is closing, it's kind of heartbreaking. It's not so much that I'm a huge Sutliff fan or love all their blends or anything like that. I've tried a few that I don't like, actually, right? I reviewed Molto Dolce, and I think it's one of the most overhyped blends out there. But that being said, right, there's people who are losing their jobs over this. There's people who are losing their livelihood who have been doing this sort of thing, and that's just really unfortunate. And so for the next couple minutes, one more thing to touch on, actually, before I move. The last thing to know, we're seeing more fallout in this regard, okay? If you haven't checked it out, I'm going to put the link here as well. But Ken Byron Ventures, who knows what's going to happen at this point? He posted an article on his news, on his website, and it basically says, like, to sum it up pretty quickly, if I have to close my doors, I'm going to close my doors, and it was fun while it lasted, okay? Again, I'll post the article up here, but he basically says that Sutliff closing, Sutliff was a backbone of many brick and mortars, and that spine is being ripped out, and that this is going to be economically damaging, okay? So this is, again, a blender's perspective on this whole deal. And let's see here. At the end, he says, "I did this for fun, and I feel blessed that I can shut the doors at any time." Okay, that's coming from Ken Byron Ventures. This is just what he wrote. "I'll probably always keep a stack of my favorite stickers to flip through. After the new year, I'll try to figure out how many months left of the Keystone blends we have." So it sounds like, now he doesn't say that he's for sure closing, but it sure sounds like he's going to be closing the doors in 2025. Okay. So does that mean other blenders are going to be closing their doors? I don't know. Who knows? Watch City Cigars has already said, we're blenders, we're here to stay. Okay, so this brings me to kind of the final point that I would like to discuss here. Who will continue pipe tobacco and pipe smoking? That's really, I think, is the question for us to consider, is who will continue this thing on? This is my opinion and how I feel about this. It's people who love it, okay? At a very basic answer, those who enjoy pipes, those who enjoy pipe tobacco are the ones who will be continuing it forward. So to kind of break that down, and what do I mean by that? STG doesn't really care about pipe smoking. Why is that? By all the reports, it seems what they care about is the margin. Okay, they're reducing products. They're trying to consolidate manufacturing and production to focus on a limited number of brands and offerings. That way, they have better margins. Okay. So to me, at the end of the day, STG, they could find a better product, right? And I think that's what they're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if 10 years from now, STG only has a couple of pipe blends that they're offering, right? They're already moving that direction, and it wouldn't be that surprising if they continued to limit it in the future after that. And focus on something like cigars, right? So what I mean is that STG, they'll find a different product, right? They'll find a product that provides them more margin for their business, and that's what they'll focus on. But people like Watch City Cigar, people like Country Squire, right? Unfortunately, I would even argue people like Sutliff, okay? Over this last year, Sutliff, they've produced blends, small blends for people like Get Piped, okay? Love him or hate him, Get Piped. He's got a good-sized YouTube channel in this whole niche of pipe smoking, a podcast that I'm a listener of. And Sutliff produced a blend for them, Flannel Coffee. And they manufactured it, processed it, tinned it up for them, and they were selling it at pipe shows this last year. So Flannel Coffee, Sutliff lost all the money on it. Okay, because when they sold one tin of Flannel Coffee, Sutliff didn't take any of the proceeds. They all went to the Get Piped guys. So, to be more detailed about that, they didn't take any money to pay themselves back even for the time or the money that they have in the tin, right? They were literally losing money on that. But they were doing it for somebody who has some influence in the pipe smoking community, and they were working with them, which was really cool. And I know that they've done it for a couple other YouTube channels or pipe smoking influencers. I hate that term, but so be it. People who are involved and active in the pipe smoking community. So what I'm trying to juxtapose here is actually STG and Sutliff under Jeremy McKenna here, that Sutliff showed a care for those in the pipe community, right? But STG obviously has not. So it's those like Sutliff, like Jeremy McKenna, or again, you name it, and whoever's watching this probably has people in their mind who they can fit this bill to. But it's those who actually just enjoy tobacco and pipes for what it is, right? It's a thing that they love. It's they'll find some other blend, right? They'll continue to go on. So why, right? What's the whole point and deal in bringing all of this up? Moving forward, it should make us really consider who do we support? Okay. To give, I'm not going to tell you should buy from this person or from that person or whatever. Everybody has their own conscience, and everybody has their own set of ideals. But the advice that I would say is find somebody who you would be happy to support. Okay, find somebody who, in your mind, to you says they are people who care about me. Right? Find and do business with people who trying to think of the right way to say this. Support those who support the thing you enjoy, I guess is really what I'm trying to say. So as I'm continuing this process of trying blends and this sort of thing, I'm going to think a lot more about where I'm buying that from, okay? And in particular, just to be outright, I'm going to be buying it from these smaller blenders, okay? To me, it's these companies and these little businesses, right? These brick and mortars that have their own house blends. Those are the folks who I think are going to help the longevity of pipe smoking and pipe tobacco. So, as I continue to purchase new blends or try blends, that's where I'm going to go. I'm not going to go to tobacco pipes or pipes and cigars, and I'm probably not even going to go to smoking pipes, right? I'm going to pay more money in shipping and buy it from Watch City Cigars, or I'm going to pay the $1 more per ounce and buy Watch City Cigars or Country Squire blends. That's just kind of where I'm falling on this issue as a whole. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this whole STG, all the fallout that's happening. So I hope that this was helpful. Hopefully that it gave you some things to think about and some things to consider. And I've even got some thoughts and ideas for myself, Timber and Smoke, this YouTube channel, my website that's down currently. But looking at the time, it'd be best to save that for another video. So as I'm recording this, it's December 14th, hoping to get up the same day. I plan on releasing another video here, at least within the next week, to kind of talk about that as well. So appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.